let's pop these guys up. And there you go, we instantly have our undead army beginning to build here. Okay, you know how this goes. This is our King of the Dead build. So, we're going to do level by level and a combat tutorial and some items. So let's begin. We're going to start with our Paladin because we want the proficiencies in armors and weapons. Now, this will make more sense as the build goes on, but this is how we are starting. For your oath, honestly, ideally you would like to be an oath breaker. However, I'm in Act 3, so it's not really doable without the game bugging. So I'm going to pick Oath of Devotion, but it's not really essential. It's just, to me, Oathbreaker fits the theme a little better. For your stats, I would have something like this. I would have 16 in Strength, 12 in Dex, 14 in Constitution, 16 in Intelligence, and then the rest can be at 8. And for your skill proficiencies, take whatever you fancy. There's no real right or wrong answer here. Okay, at level 2, we begin our crossover into a wizard. Now, for your spells, you really want to take things that fit the theme. So, we are going to take Bone Chill, we're going to take Poison Spray, and we're going to take Acid Splash. And this build is really going to rely on Acid, Poison, Necromancy, that sort of thing. Okay, for the 6 spells you can select at level 1, I would take Shield, because I think this is one of the best spells in the game. I would take Rare Sickness to fit the Necromancy Poison thing we have going. False Life, because it's another Necromancy spell. Thunderwave, because it's one of my favourite spells in the entire game. Magic Missile, just because of how reliant you can be on it. It never misses. And if you need to just chip away at a few enemies, it's a great spell. And Long Strider. Okay, level 3, we stick with Wizard, because this allows us to go to the Necromancy School. Now, Necromancy Savant, which is learning Necromancy spells, now only costs 25 gold instead of 50. And that's the key thing about using a Wizard, is that you can learn spells from the scrolls you have. And we get Grim Harvest. Once per turn, if you kill a creature with a spell, you gain hit points equal to twice the spell slot of level used. Thrice if it's a Necromancy spell. So basically, every time we kill someone with a Necromancy spell, we'll gain life back. Really good way to keep healing yourself and just keep buffing yourself back up to top. For your next 2 spells, again, take anything you want to here. I would personally take Colour Spray, and I'll take Featherfall. Okay, we are level 4 overall, and now we're still sticking with Wizard, because we want to get this build online as soon as possible, and unfortunately that doesn't really happen until we're around level 7. I think it's Wizard level 6 that comes online. So, just got to keep chugging along, but we do now have access to our level 2 spells, and we are going to begin with Melf's Acid Arrow, to once again tap back into the acid aspect of it. And we'll be taking Hold Person. Hold Person is a phenomenal spell. If you can keep people still and just smack them with critical hits, you are going to do so much damage off the bat. Okay, level 5, we stick with Wizard, so we're now a Wizard level 4, and this gives us our first feat. And we have access to one more spell. From this, I would take Ray of Frost. I know it's not like Necromancy or Poison, but Cold and Death kind of go together. That's the theme here. Your other option would be something like Daylight or Light, Mage Hand. Really take whatever you want, but I will take Ray of Frost. And we have access to 2 more spells, so we're going to take Misty Step, because Misty Step is amazing. It's a bonus action, lets you teleport, and it's so good for getting you out of danger or putting you up close and personal with enemies that wouldn't expect you to be there. The other option is going to be Blur, because Blur is amazing. If you can keep concentration, it just gives disadvantage on attacks against you. So good, especially with a high AC. Okay, so for our feat, we're going to do an ASI, and we're going to bump our intelligence up to 18. Okay, we're now Wizard level 5, level 6 overall, and you might be thinking we're going to take Animate Dead. We're not. You can do if you want to get the build online a little bit earlier. For me, there's no real point, because we'll be getting Animate Dead at the next level anyway. So it's just really one level of still plugging along with what you have. So I would personally take Haste, because Haste is amazing. And a little out of the box, but there is Stinking Cloud, because it just stops everyone from doing everything. We, however, are going to take Vampiric Touch. Taps into the Necromancy theme of the build again, and touch an enemy to siphon their life force and regain half as many hit points. It is concentration, but if you can put on the heaviest armor you can, because of our Paladin proficiencies, and just stand there and tank things, you can really just siphon life off of enemies as much as you need to. Okay, we are now a wizard level 6, level 7 overall, and this is where we get our animate dead. Create an undead servant from a corpse. This is amazing. This really allows us to build up our army of characters. And for your next 2 spells, I would take Grant Flight, just because it could help you maneuver yourself around the battlefield a bit better. And I would take Stinking Cloud. Okay, now that we are level 8 overall, we're going to dip back into Paladin because we want our smites finally. And we're going to take Great Weapon Fighting. When you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack with a 2-handed melee weapon, that die is re-rolled once. So we're going to take this. And for a spell, I would take any sort of smite you can. Searing Smite, Thunderous Smite, or Wrathful Smite. I'm going to take Thunderous, but really just take whatever you want. Now you could take your Paladin all the way to level 5 and get extra attack if you want to. We're going to be a bit more spellcasty based though, so we're going to stick back with the Wizard. So, Wizard level 7. This gives us access to level 4 spells, and we are going to take Blight to begin with. This is an 8 to 64 damage spell, which is insane. We're also going to take Edvard's Black Tentacles, another one of my favourite spells, and in my opinion this is a phenomenal spell to use in conjunction with a King of the Dead by just spawning these tentacles out the ground to just attract and hold on to people. So good. Okay, Wizard level 8, we have access to our next feat. We also get 2 more spells. Now, you have again options of what you would like to do. In my opinion, I think Phantasmal Killer. Haunt a creature with its worst nightmares. It takes 4 to 40 psychic damage. I would take this because that seems very King of the Dead-like. And I would take Glyph of Warding. And we're going to grab the ASI improvement and we're going to bump our intelligence up once again. Wizard level 9. Now, our health isn't going to be the most amazing. Please bear that in mind with this build. But we are going to have some amazing spells like Cloud Kill. Craft a large cloud that inflicts 5 to 40 poison damage. This is an amazing spell, and once again, another one of my favourite spells in the game. We're also going to take Hold Monster. This is basically Hold Person, but on steroids. And finally, Wizard level 10. This gives us Inured to Undeath. You have seeped yourself completely in death, but your resistance to necrotic damage, and moreover, your hit point maximum cannot be reduced. Phenomenal. We get 1 more spell, so let's just take Light. And we have access to 2 more spells, and really at this point, take whatever you want. I would try not to take things like Counterspell and leave this for other players, but really from here you could take whatever you fancy. Okay, so that is our King of the Dead build done, level by level. Let's now look at some gear. So, for weapons, I would take anything really that is a 2-handed weapon, until you get to the Sword of Chaos. The reason we are picking this, not only is it 8 to 21 damage overall, it has an extra 1d4 necrotic damage, which just fits the theme and it looks awesome. It also has Chaos, so on a hit we regain 1 to 6 hit points, and that really just helps continuously keep us buffed up, because we only have 80 hit points overall. For armors, again, I would put on the heaviest armors you can to really boost your AC. Things like the Flawed and the normal Helldusk armor are amazing, but they're a bit more fire-themed. I like the Reaper's Embrace. I think it looks amazing. And for the stat bonuses you get, so Magical Plate. All incoming damage is reduced by 2. When activated with Reaper's Rigidity, you cannot be moved against your will, which is phenomenal, which means we can't be Thunderwaved or shoved. But mostly, we get Howl of the Dead. And Howl of the Dead allows us to do a bone-chilling howl that will numb all nearby creatures for 3 rounds. Very, very powerful. Now, with our other equipment, there's sort of 2 routes we can do. We can either really buff our magic abilities, or we can really buff our hitting to counteract the fact we only have 2 paladin levels. So, I'm going to give you a few options. The setup I will be using is the Flesh Melter Cloak. So this will do 1 to 4 acid damage whenever a creature hits us in melee. We're going to pair this with Evasive Shoes. There are other shoes you can use, but I think the Evasive Shoes are really good here, because it's just a +1 acrobatics and a +1 armor class. Tampa's boost the armor class up. Gloves, the Icarus gloves. So when the wearer deals acid damage, and remember a lot of our spells are acid damage, we inflict noxious fumes on the target, and noxious fumes, any person within a 3-meter radius will take 1 to 4 damage. Phenomenal. So if you can hit acid on a group of enemies, like an acid splash, you're going to put this noxious fumes on all of them, and that's really just going to spread around the whole area. We're pairing this with the caustic band, so your weapon attacks also deal 2 damage. So that's necrotic and acid damage on our weapon now. Really fits the theme in my opinion. As well as the killer's sweetheart. When you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be a critical hit. If you can kill something with your sword, then do this. You're going to, and pair it with a smite, you're going to do an insane amount of damage. But again, as I said, there are other routes you can go down. For example, you could go with the Cloak of Displacement, which will basically give disadvantage on attack rolls against the wearer. Really good for tanking yourself up. If you stick with the poison theme, when you poison a foe, you heal yourself with 1d4 hit points with the Devoration Cloak. For gloves, there is the Blackguard's Gauntlets, and this allows you to cast Inflict Wounds. However, we could just pair this, also we could learn Inflict Wounds from a scroll, because that's the benefit of being a wizard. So this might not be something you really want to focus on too much. The gloves of the Growling Underdog, these are some of my favourite gloves in the game. And basically, you have advantage on melee attack rolls while surrounded by 2 or more foes. I like these gloves, but I do think inflicting noxious fumes on an enemy is a little better. The Legacy of Masters, gain a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons. Again, really good, but I think noxious fumes and having the AoE is just a little bit better for this build. Now, obviously, there are going to be other equipments out there. You could put the Helm of Baldur on, for example, and that will really boost your AC as well. There's multiple options, but that's just a few of the ones I'm doing in this video to just show how you can really boost up your damage and really just continuously play into this necrotic death theme. So, we're going to go find some combat, and I'm going to show you this build in action. Okay, so before we start the combat, please note that the Necromancer of Taybook, now this is a quest that you start in Act 1 and you finish in Act 3, is key to this build because it gives us 20 temporary hit points, but more importantly, it allows us to cast Dense Macabre. So this allows us to create 4 thralls to fight alongside us. So let's pop these guys up. And there you go, we instantly have our undead army beginning to build here. And these guys last until long rest, and you can recast them every long rest. And because we are a Necromancer, from here we can also animate dead. So there are some corpses on the floor, so let's get these guys going. So animate dead, we're going to do this. We are going to get, what do we fancy? Let's take some zombies, and we're going to up it to level 4. Take one here, and one here. And now we have 7 people on our team, which is insane. I guess we're just going to hit them to pick the fight. There we go.
Pick to fight. The consequences are hard.
Okay, now we have our army. And what I've done is, so they're trying to hit us, we're going to do shield. We're going to play this whole fight out because we don't have any of our other companions. It's just our character and our undead army. And we're going to see how they fare against this group of mercenaries. There's a little mixture in this, which is why I really like doing this fight. Because there's a mixture of ranged people, there's a barbarian, there's a wizard. It really just helps you figure out just how good a build is with a different party comp. As you can see, we are taking no damage. So, because we used our main attack, unfortunately, we are going to Misty Step, and we're going to get out of the fight and come up here. Just like that. This allows us to not only take out this person, but now we could do a cloud kill down here, for example. And it's time for our thralls to do their thing. And as you can see, they manage to paralyze enemies, which causes critical hits, and we are just wiping the floor with some of these people. They basically have their own version of Hold Monster. Now that is the barbarian, so he is going to hurt a little bit. And of course the invisibility. And now it's time for the rest of our undead army. Now, these ones that we summoned we can actually control. So we're going to come in here and we're going to finish the job. And because our animated dead killed them, we have now summoned a new animated dead. And the same thing applies to this one. If we can make our way over, which sadly it doesn't look like we can. So instead, let's help our king up here. And see if we can get another thrall. Another newborn zombie, and our army is just building and building. More critical hits. And we have such a high AC that not much is hitting us. Unfortunately, they'd hit us with a critical ensnaring strike, which isn't ideal. Okay, so what we're going to do from here is we are going to test out one of my favourite spells when I can find it, Cloud Kill. This is phenomenal. We're going to do it at level 6, and we're going to pop it on top of our little undead army. Just like that. Now, unfortunately, they do suffer from this. But you can just see the bulk damage we are doing. Although, did we actually put it on the floor? I don't think we did. I think we might have missed. Interesting. And as you'll notice, the zombies are actually rather strong. They're not super weak. And we have so many first level spell slots available for shield. It's unbelievable how much damage we can just tank and absorb. And once again, our army of zombies can come in here and start clawing away at people. Especially the squishy people like the wizard that can't really defend themselves. More clawing attacks. And so far we've not lost a single minion in this fight. Now unfortunately we did just lose Cloud Kill because our concentration got stopped, but that's okay. Okay, as we're a Paladin we still have our option to Divine Smite, and we can do this up to any level. So let's just do a 3rd level. Come in here. And there you go. So we still have that ability, and because we hit them with a Divine Smite and we hit them with necrotic damage, we re-healed for some of that. And as I said before, we do have Howl of the Dead thanks to our armor. So if we were to do this, they did save, but that is another option. You can smack, try the Howl of the Dead from the armor, and just really maximize your turn usage, and really maximize how much you can get in one round. And this is what makes this army so good, is that they just swarm the enemies. So this is a Bearheart Barbarian. So this takes half damage, and we are just wiping the floor with it. It's not even close. This thing might take out one of our little army now. As you can see there, but we still have a huge amount of enemies to deal with. And as you can see from the noxious fumes, unfortunately, he did die. And now they're going to start chasing down the next enemy. Which means we can stay up here, continue smacking this one. Ensnaring Strike is such an annoying ability in these fights. ginormous miss. We don't mind that. Because we can come up here. And we will showcase what I'm talking about with the noxious fumes. So if we come here and we do a Melf's Acid Arrow to make sure we hit. There we go. If we examine him, conditions acid. So armor class is reduced by 2, which is really helpful for us because he's now easier to hit. And our ghouls are going to continue to hunt down the rest of the enemies. This will probably be the wizard who stayed where he was. He did not, he moved behind, but that's okay because we can once again hunt him down. Like that. And if you can save your spell slots, you can really just keep reviving your undead army as much as you need to. Just please bear in mind, they will take damage often. But once again, they are so good for building your army, for surrounding enemies and crowding them, and they're so easy to keep reviving. But we still have that paladin ability of hitting hard, because we are a frontliner as well as an army builder. So for example, if we were to come in here and just smack, we would miss apparently. So let's do something fun. And let's just shove him off. Give him the 9 damage. Now we just have to wait for them to all respawn and do their thing. We will dash with R1 to bring him down into the fight. Because don't forget, we have the ability to Misty Step with our Paladin. And we've got so many level 1 spells, we can continuously just shield up. And as you can see, we've not even dipped below 80 yet because we have the ability to continuously heal every time we hit something. So once again, let's Misty Step. We're going to do it at the lowest level possible to get into the fight. So let's come down here. And once again, we will come in here and we'll just do some more spells. So let's do Blight this time at level 4 to show this off. There you go. And now we have Executioner. So let's make our way over here. And our next hit will now be a critical. And we can still shield up. Now, unfortunately, we can't quite reach the destination because this one's in the way, so let's come up here. And we're going to continuously smack into this one. And we're doing so much damage because it's not armored. And as you can see, we finally took some damage, but we can come up here. We're going to Executioner, thanks to the Killer Sweetheart. And as you see, we melted him and we've healed back up to full HP. So it is now just a lovely wizard up here to go. Who is really struggling to do any damage to us. So let's see if we can get the kill shot now. Very, very close. Let's see if we can finish it off with this one here. And there you go. We have another newborn zombie. And because we still have our spell slots available, we can run up here. We can come back here to Animate Dead. Let's get some flying ghouls this time. There must be more enemies or somewhere. Okay, let's move over a little bit because they're here. So Animate Dead. Grab our flying ghouls. One here. we'll turn this lovely chap into a ghoul. And there you go, we now have 2 more. And this will work as much as we need it to. It's unfortunately lagging because we've raised people, we've got some dying. But we can just do this as much as we want to. And as you can see, we took out our whole army with just our 1 character. Come back in here. We'll raise another skeleton. Or not, because he can't be resurrected. Can the guy up here be resurrected? It looks like it. So we'll grab a skeleton. No, target cannot be reanimated. I wonder why. Well, anyway, as you can see, that is how the build works. You just continuously heal yourself up, you continuously do poison and necrotic damage, and you grab constant minions, and the minions can summon more minions. And if you pair this in an actual squad, so if we brought in Shadowheart, Juhir, and Minx, that you can see around the corner, we would have had no trouble doing that fight at all. We'd probably have had most of our army still, and we'd be moving on to the next fight. If you have enjoyed, please drop the episode a like, helps me amazingly. If you're new and not subscribed but you'd like to, that'd also be amazing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.